Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining the GOW, the Generation Wrestling Podcast. As always, is yours truly, the franchise, aka the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, I got somebody whose future is absolutely too bright from AIW Absolute Intense Wrestling, right out of the 216 here in Cleveland, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Taylor. Eric, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic. Like we said before, great weekend this past weekend. So riding the high of Absolution. So saw you just came back from a vacation. How was all that?
Man, you know what? The wife and I, we got a chance to get away from the kids for a little bit. So, spent a little time out in Mexico and then we went to Honduras and now we're back in the city, man. So, as
Cool.
beautiful as those places were, no places like home.
No place like Cleveland, you know?
And it's funny because speaking of Cleveland, I said this in the intro, absolute intense wrestling, Cleveland-based promotion. Any and everybody who's anybody has stepped through. You got the likes of Eddie Kingston. You got the likes of, let's see, who else we got? We got Maserati West. We got you. We got Eric Young. We have Shane Taylor, and you can go on and on and on. Matt Cardona, who was there recently. What is it about Cleveland? I asked Shane Taylor this, but what is it about Cleveland that you think is, such a wrestling hub, man? Because you got people like The Miz, you got Dana Brooke, you got Logan Paul. I mean, Westlake, whatever, same thing. But you got a lot of big names, man, coming out from the city and wrestling specifically. What are your thoughts on that?
I honestly, I think that part of it is kind of like what you said. I mean, there's so many guys on television right now that are from Cleveland. I mean, Eric of the Viking Raiders,
Yep.
I mean, there's countless people from Cleveland now. And I feel like there's more than almost like any other city besides maybe like California, New York. I mean, it's right up there, I think. And so I think that part of that has to do with that. I think that when fans kind of notice that and they're like, oh, I'm from Cleveland, they kind of see that, okay, there's this promotion here in Cleveland and a lot of guys have ran through here.
Yeah.
And I think that, it just kind of stifles, not stifles, but it actually grows the love of wrestling in the city. So
speaking of, so I have a couple other people here. I want to make sure I give, AIW just do. So I say Eric Young, but we had Raven. Like I said, we had Filthy Tom Lawler, Swaggle, formerly in WWE, the Headbangers, Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, so many more. And those are people that you wrestled this year alone.
Yep.
AIW, man, is very unique. Independent wrestling, I feel like especially since 2019, 2020, right around that COVID bubble area where there wasn't really much content online. We kind of try to feel our fix a little bit, and people started to venture outside of the, WWE, right, or the Impact Wrestlings. And then, AEW came along. But before that, you got people really getting reintegrated into New Japan and Ring of Honor, things of that nature. Now that business is booming and the wrestling business is as popular as ever, modern day, as an independent guy, how is it for you to be working with, guys who are coming from these major promotions, giving you the rub? I mean, recently, like I said, you just fought Eric Young and went over. That's no small feat, man.
100%. 100%. We have such a luxury now of having so many options.
Yeah.
And we have so much easy access to those options.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's part of the reason why a lot of these names want to come down to these other places like this is because they know that they're still going to get eyes on it. They know that they're still going to make their money, that they're still going to be able to entertain people. And like you said, it's just as popular as it's probably ever been right now.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be an indie wrestler. I mean, you have the opportunity, like you said, to wrestle all these names and to sit under the learning tree of a lot of these names. I mean, a lot of these guys, they don't just do one-offs at shows. They come and they have multiple matches. They sit here for months. Like you said, Matt Cardona with AIW, he's coming here for almost over a year now at this point, maybe. So to have guys like that in the locker room to be able to, watch matches and be willing to give feedback. I mean, you said it, talking with Eric Young, before the match, after the match, having a mind like that, and going through a match with someone like that is just such a different experience. And you're automatically going to match that level,
Right.
And ultimately that just makes everyone better. It just makes everything more entertaining. Because that's what you need. You need that experience with those guys to be able to know what it's like to be that kind of guy. If you're gonna be in some promotion that, no disrespect to them because these people help it go too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
These promotions that have like 5, 10 people, that are putting most of their own trainees on the cards that have been training for like 3 months. You can only get so far doing that, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But to be able to have the luxury of these names is huge. It
Yeah.
is it's absolutely priceless.
Speaking of, Eric Young and, sitting under the learning tree with him, we talked to Eric Young, and one of the questions I asked him was the ability to read the room, right? To be able to change on the fly, because, professional wrestling is a little bit of everything. It's theatrics, it's athletics, it's, playing off the crowd. A lot of it is crowd participation. And one thing that we lost with COVID was the crowd. So, it's, how do I time this? Did I do this right? Did I do this too long?
Mhm.
Did I move too quick? With you, going up against, guys that's been to the big time, how is it for you backstage when you get a chance to run into an Eric Young or, a Matt Cardona who's been to these heights and these places and they still make time to come back to the independence?
Mhm. Well, yeah, again, like I said, I mean, first of all, it shows us the respect
Yeah.
and it shows us to be humble. I think that these guys that achieve that success, coming back down to a place like AIW, which I mean, I don't even know if I would say down, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you know, being able to come back to an independent like that is something that you need to keep in your mind of like, okay, remember where you came from. Remember that it's not always necessarily about the bright lights as much as I want to
Yeah.
say the future is so bright and
Yeah.
all this stuff. It's about the entertainment. It's about the repetition. It's about, so many other aspects. And again, like you said, going on the fly, being able to have someone in the ring with you to kind of know how to do that and someone that's not going to, have a deer in the headlights kind of look. I mean, that happened with us actually in that match because so I had a lot of family there because I said, "Hey, listen guys, like this is a big match for me. Like I need a lot of people there, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly a liked guy in AIW, right?
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because the crowd then kind of splits because you have a lot of family
Yeah.
there and you have a lot of friends there, and so sometimes you have to call audibles with that kind of stuff and kind of change your match structure, and you have this plan in your head, and then you start to panic because something else might not be going right, and then having someone that is composed in that situation and in that environment is
Yeah.
so important. And it teaches you how to kind of be like, okay, it's okay. Slow down,
Yeah.
breathe, you know, everyone. And that's something that we're told right when we start is just slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down, think, process, listen more than you try to put out, if that makes sense. Like
Right.
being able to listen to the crowd and listen to what they're doing is one thing, but then you can listen to them and morph that and do something to actually garner the next reaction, which is really the true art of what we do. So, being able to have people that are masters at that is of the utmost importance.
It's funny you said that because as I was watching your match, and I'm like, damn, is he the heel of the face right now? Because the crowd, and again, you're going up against Eric Young, like I say, who's
Right,
got over 25 years in this business. I'm like,
right.
dude, this really feels like a home game for my guy right now. So I was really just listening, like, okay, he's got something. You said something that I want to kind of, backtrack on, and you talked about slowing down. One of the things I hear a lot of the veterans talk about, or anybody that's been in the wrestling business for a while, is everything is too quick, too quick, too quick. We're in the age of instant gratification.
Yeah.
With you being, one of the younger guys in the business coming up in this newer age of now, especially with streaming services and everything just right at your fingertips. How do you
Mhm.
balance I don't want to say the old school way of thinking, but the original ideology of, hey, sell it, take time, let it marinate. And
Mhm.
then how do you balance that with, okay, I got to give these people like a cool spot here, here, without
Right.
overdoing it too quick and burning yourself out?
Um, I think so. That's a loaded question. I think the simplest way that I can put it is moves are moves, story is story.
Yes.
So your moves can be flashy and fun all you want, right? And
Mm.
everyone says this too. I don't want to be the guy that sounds like, he's trying to like get over the veterans, where he's like, no, I hate doing moves. But like,
Yeah.
um, everything that happens in between the moves is the important part. With that being said, you can have these moves and you can have these spots, and that's something that some people might like, and they like the action. That's the thing that kind of keeps them watching. To me, I love the story. I love the drama. I love that this is literally just a soap opera that we're all just in love with. That just happens to have wrestling.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that soap opera aspect of it is what's really gonna pull people in and allow them to want something to be marinated. We
Yeah.
see that with the Bloodline storyline right now. It's been going
Yeah.
on long, and people just want to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But even though it's not always necessarily at its climax, something is still always happening to advance the story. So
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I still want to watch it because it's not necessarily a satisfying story yet because it's not finished,
Yeah.
but there's stuff that's happening that you want to see and that you want to watch. And so, you have to keep them coming back. You also have to give them something to hold on to be like, okay, that was cool. Now, what are they going to do next? Uh,
Right.
and that's something that I think that we've been able to kind of sink into these past, couple of years since COVID has kind of, died down a little bit. That I've just absolutely loved. So,
Speaking of soap opera, so formerly one half of the Bitcoin Boys,
formerly,
AIW Tag Team Champions, and now you're going solo dolo. You turn to your boy Mikey Montgomery. My question is to you. Okay, we already know how tag teams usually go in professional wrestling. There's always that one, for the most part, that decides that, enough is enough. But with you being such great partners with a guy like Mikey, you guys put on, great matches. I brought up Wes earlier. You guys went up against him and Joshua Bishop, and you guys had a banger of a match, and many others. But for you, stepping into a solo role, how is that for you transitioning out of sharing the spotlight with somebody? Now it's all eyes on you.
it's scary. It's scary. I could sit here and I can try to act as confident as I want to, and I am. But you know, I think that me and Mikey both, and I think that Mikey deep down realizes this, even though he's a little upset right now. But I think that he deep down realizes why, and I think that he realizes that this is such a pivotal point in our careers, and very much, in life, inside the ring, outside the ring, it's a changing of the guard for me in a lot of ways. And I think that this was kind of just the last step in that, and it's something to where I needed to take that jump. Um, I think that me and Mikey had such good chemistry, and we had such a way of knowing each other before we even knew ourselves in the ring,
Yeah.
especially that, you know, it was a tough thing to be like, okay, I'm stepping away from this now. I have to, I compared it a lot when I was talking to people about it, about like, okay, this is a lot like your last game as a senior,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it's emotional. It's emotional. I mean, I was tagging with Mikey longer than I was in high school. So
Mm.
like, that's something that you need to get used to.
Yeah.
But again, now it's I got these opportunities to wrestle more guys like Eric Young and these other, larger names that I necessarily didn't have the luxury to before as a tag team.
Yeah.
Um, and being able to grow as a singles guy is huge. I loved wrestling, tag team wrestling, and I didn't necessarily realize it until after, but I was like, dang, like it was actually so much fun.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely time for me to grow as a singles guy, and I'm very excited for that. It's nerve wracking, but in the absolute best way, because you know you need to be able to adapt, you need to be able to grow. Again, past 4 years of my career has been a tag team guy. I had a very short stint, me and Mikey both, right before we got formed into the tag team, that we had a little singles, run. But like, other than that, a handful of singles matches throughout the past couple of years. And obviously COVID messed a lot of that up too. So like being able to kind of step out now and being able to promote for myself, to, being able to, do things for myself. It's going to be an interesting experience. I'm so excited for it though. And to be honest too, I mean, Mikey is not a bad competitor, man. He has so much friggin' talent. Um, but I have more. So I had to do what I had to do. But yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Speaking of, doing what you got to do, now we're going to have a little fun with this because how you and I and the GOW have come to this moment right here. This is actually a few months in the making. So, for those who don't know, I want to kind of catch people up to speed. And then if I miss anything, definitely feel free to fill in the blank. So, one day, I'm scrolling the good old TikTok and other GOW socials trying to figure out what's the next venture for the GOW. And one of our listeners had mentioned they recognize current champion now, AIW Intense champion Maserati West Barkley. They recognize him in the clip. And then I believe somebody asked you a comment about your opponent. And I forgot exactly what you said, but it was along the lines of Wes is a bitch, tell them to come interview me. And I missed that. That was 2 months ago. I missed it. And then so, here I am getting ready, me and the wife about to go handle our business. And me, unbeknownst to myself, I didn't realize what I said, how I said it. I was showing love to Wes because I knew he had a big match coming up. And then I myself cut a promo saying if anybody got a problem with Wes, they got a problem with the GOW. And then who do I have in my inbox? The GOW inbox, man. We get Mr. Future Too Bright himself, and now we are here. You're a solo guy now. Wes, he's doing this thing. He's the champion. My question to you is this. It's obvious you and Wes got some unresolved business. What's next for Eric Taylor, man?
Well, listen. So first of all, I want to preface congratulations to Wes because their match was insane on Saturday.
Yes.
And I'm happy for him. Mm-hmm. Next thing I want to say is there shouldn't have been any beef. To be perfectly honest, I mean, Wes was a mentor to me when I first, started this. He was a guy that, gave me a lot of that advice that we were talking about earlier. And I think that somewhere along the line, I to be honest, I think that he got jealous. I think that he saw that I was everything that he was trying to be. I think that I do it better. I think I'm smoother. And I think that he hates that secretly. And so that's why he's going to sit here and try to, make tweets and act like it wasn't him that saw my TikTok and he wasn't trying to stalk my TikTok for ideas. And he sees the comments and he's like, oh, I can get a little bit of clout off this. You know what I mean? And that's sad because, I have a lot of respect for Wes. And like I said, he was a mentor and he was a guy that I went to for advice a lot. And just the jealousy of it is something that gets on my nerves because he is talented. And Saturday, I'm sitting here and I watch him win this match and I see him run out into the crowd and he's grabbing babies and, lifting them up, having them hold the title and stuff. And he's celebrating with the crowd and he's having all this fun and everything. And I'm like, dude, he's kind of lost his way. I think that when he had his edge about him, he was a lot more likable, and now it's just annoying. And that's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I'm happy that he's champ because to me, it's an easier route to the title. But I mean, I don't know if you saw my entrance for Absolution. I don't know if anybody has here, but go back, watch it, Fight TV. We had pedestals, and my pedestal was empty. The entire reason why I turned on Mikey, the entire reason why I ended the Bitcoin Boys was simple. It was to fill that pedestal. And whether it's Wes's Intense Championship, whether it's now the Absolute Champion, Isaiah Broner, I mean, whether it's in another promotion, I mean, it doesn't really matter. The entire reason I did what I did was for gold. And I'm happy that Wes won because I think that I can beat Wes one-on-one. So
speaking of filling the pedestal, speaking of, whether it's this promotion or any other promotions, we've seen this thing play out in the past, the whole belt collector gimmick. Mm-hmm. Can we see Eric Taylor going company to company and just taking all the gold?
I certainly hope so. Like I said, now that I'm a singles guy, trying to get to as many places I possibly can, going to start hitting the car, going to start hitting the road. I think that companies would be absolutely stupid to not have me on their show, to be perfectly honest. I think that I am a money-making machine. I think I am entertaining as hell. I think I'm talented as hell. Um, and like I said, any company would be lucky to have me. So,
Now, speaking of companies, don't want to get you to any water, so feel free, if you need to. But AIW, we understand what it is. But let's be honest here. Let's have a real conversation. If you could choose hypothetically, if a mainstream promotion, let's say a AEW or WWE or an Impact nationally, whatever, New Japan, is there anybody that you, Eric Taylor, have your eyes on?
company-wise,
Yes.
Again, anywhere and anywhere. I think obviously, the reason I got into this was because I was a WWE fan as a
Yeah.
kid. I wanted to be the WWE champion. If you're a kid and you didn't imagine yourself as a world heavyweight champion or WWE champion, then you're lying.
Yeah.
With that being said, again, AEW has been such a great place to give these indie guys opportunities, and to see a lot of my friends on TV now. You know, um, so both companies are great options. Again, even a company like Impact, like you said,
Yeah.
um, and there's just so many more options now where you can make a living doing this. You can make a living on the indies now.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of doing it the right way and getting to wherever I can, however I can, and being successful there. I think that's the most important thing. Um, it could be a small place in West Virginia, or it could be WWE at WrestleMania. It really doesn't matter to me. If you're going somewhere, do what you can with it and be successful with it.
Speaking of making a living on the indies, we've actually heard people that were in these bigger companies that went back to the indies like, dude, I'm actually, believe it or not, making more money. I'm
Mhm.
taking home more money per show, merch, whatever,
Yeah.
than the big company. So I think, you even hear this with a lot of entertainers and musicians and things of that nature. Fame doesn't always equate to cash and monetary value.
Right.
So I guess, asking you as a guy that's making a living on the indies, what is your day to day like? How do you plan and set up your months and weeks and things like that?
Well, I think you kind of have to take it rolling.
Mhm.
You have to go week by week, because so you have your schedule, right? You
Yeah.
have your this is a show day, this is a show day, this is a show day, this is a show day. The most important thing that I try to keep an eye on is just nutrition, staying in shape. Those are the things, those are the tangibles that you can control. In my opinion, that's something that is going to set you apart from the bottom 99%. If you look like a superstar, if you look like you've been here before, that
Yeah.
is the biggest thing that you can give yourself that is going to set you apart. Control the controllable is one of the biggest things that I try to remind myself. So it's, working out, eating right, at least somewhat right. I have a sweet tooth, but like, I just had a bowl of ice cream before this. I'm terrible. I'm a hypocrite. But so that kind of stuff, staying on top of your merch, making sure that you have merch that people are going to want, having different ideas for merch, that kind of stuff, and then obviously executing it, finding people that are going to execute it in a timely manner, that are going to respond quickly, they're going to give you quality stuff. I mean, I go around to shows a lot of the time, like you see a shirt that like just has the guy's name on it, or
Yeah.
just the design is kind of poor, or you know that kind of small thing can distract a fan from going from one table to the next and being like,
Yeah.
oh well, that shirt's yellow compared to just a regular black shirt. Like
Right.
there's so many different variables that you have to kind of think about with marketing and with all that stuff. And that's a whole nother aspect of the business that like I think a lot of people don't realize, that is actually very fun, and
Yeah.
it's really the best way you can make your money, um, is the marketing aspect. And so I actually went to school for graphic design, and so going to school for that I think gave me a little bit of an edge, because I can kind of try to at least think about what a fan might be thinking or why they
Right.
might buy a certain product. I mean, there's all this stuff that you have to think about, um, that is just actually super fun, and so that's kind of something that will end up filling your week is just, okay, what can I do with designs? What kind of other ideas for merch can I have? All right, so this day I have to go pick this up. This day, all right, so I'm ordering this. I need to make sure that I have this for that. There's different kind of stuff like that. Dolling up your merch table to look cool. Like, I mean, you're going to spend so much time and
Yeah.
effort on that small kind of stuff. Designs for gear, like just anything and everything. It's really like just a job. I mean, you have to think about it constantly. Uh, Content for promos. Um, you know, I try to do as much brainstorming for that kind of stuff as possible because it's always good to have content at the fingertips to just be able to, release. And that's something that I really want to try to be better at, honestly, because, too many times will you get into this, fog of, okay, I have a show coming up this week. I have to do a promo for the show. Just
Right.
because you have a show coming up doesn't mean you can't post something just so people can kind of get to know you and get to see you at work. I think that that's something that's been kind of lost, with the independents is, you don't get a lot of mic time sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and so I love having that opportunity to be able to talk to an audience and to be able to put this out and be like, here's what I am. So either love it or hate it, take it, be entertained by it, but this is who I am. Follow me, buy something. So
It's funny you said what you said about the whole social media thing because now everything, like I said, we're starting to get away from cable, we're cutting the cord, we're doing streaming. Everybody's either on the phone, a laptop, a tablet. Like 9 times out of 10 you're on one of the three, and
mm,
everything is so quick. And what I've noticed about you and even some of the other people that we've talked to in the past, a lot of people I've come across via social media, who weren't necessarily in these bigger companies or getting all the TV time, or I might have seen an independent show. I'm like, damn, I like that guy or I like that girl, but I don't know much about them. And then it's like, okay, what's the social media? Okay, boom, boom, boom. Tick.
yeah,
Oh, and now I'm like in this vortex of just like entertainment. And
yeah,
it's funny because you could post a video like, whatever, just post it. But a guy like me whose whole thing is trying to find the next, hot star or talking to XYZ and trying
mhm,
to do my research, that one little video you posted 2 or 3 weeks ago might be that exact video I need to get published by whoever, that covers our interview.
exactly.
So, I think, self-promotion is definitely a great thing. I think social media is definitely a great tool, especially for the independent business, because I feel like everybody production wise doesn't have to be here. I feel like social media is that one place to where you can kind of have a jaded reality,
Yeah,
right? You could be on WWE and you could have like 20,000 followers, or you could
yep.
be an independent and you could be that guy with 100,000. So it's funny how it really can level the playing field.
Mhm.
Speaking of merch, I know you got some Future Too Bright shirts out, man.
Heck yeah.
Where can the people find that merch?
So right now, I'm working on something. Still have some of the older stuff on the Brainbuster Tees site, so you can go. It's still the Bitcoin Boy stuff. I gotta go and switch that. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna go with Brainbuster Tees for my own personal store or if I'm gonna go to another store yet. I'm still kind of doing some research with that. Best thing I can tell people: follow the handle right here at Future Too Bright, Twitter and Instagram to get updates for that kind of stuff. If you want one, I could send you one. Send me a DM. I could send you something. Actually just I gave one to my good friend Nathan Zagura, who is a commentator for the Browns, commentator for AIW now. I gave one to him and his son. So they're the softer brand tees. So they're
Right.
so super comfortable. I wanted to make sure that I'm gonna, like we said, have that high quality stuff. So went with the higher quality T-shirt, the softer brand T-shirt, and I was just wearing mine the other day. Gave some to some of the family. They're like, "Dude, these are friggin' comfortable. Like they're so nice." And so that was a nice compliment to get. But yeah, so I mean, if somebody wanted one, send me a DM, Instagram, Twitter. And I can get you one. But yeah, so we're gonna be opening up an online store here soon. I think just trying to do as much research as possible to find a good one and make sure that we have all the luxuries that we could possibly have. So
Well, you know, they say if you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you do better. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Eric, got a couple more before we get out of here. Okay, we talked a little bit about everybody and everything. I want these last few minutes, man, to be focused strictly on you. That's what we're here for. Is you. It's not me. It's not nobody else. It's you. Is there a person or persons, AIW or elsewhere, that you haven't had a match with, that if given the opportunity, you want that match, and who would it be?
Um, you know, with being a tag team guy for so long, it was a lot harder for me to kind of put these lists together, because it's like, well, what are the odds that it's even going to happen?
Yeah.
Um, and now that's kind of starting to clear up a bit. You're starting to kind of see more stuff, and you're like, I would love to have a match with that guy. I've never been able to think about it like that before. So a couple guys shorthand that I've seen some stuff recently that I'm like, man, I would love to be able to have something. Um, a guy that just made his return to AIW this past Saturday, Trey Lamar. That's a guy where I'm like, man, that's a standard bearer for me.
Yeah.
That's a guy that is just entertaining as hell in all aspects that I would just absolutely love to have an opportunity at. So Trey Lamar, another guy, Myron Reed. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
dude, like just the stuff that he does is just
Yeah.
insane, you know? And I see some of his stuff and like I'm intimidated. Like I'm like, man, dude, how do you even do that? I don't know if I could even possibly make my body move that way. You know, I could punch you. So
Right.
so those are two guys that are like kind of shorthand that I would absolutely love to tear it down with. Another guy that I'll give another shout out to is Derek Dillinger, just because
Yes.
you know, I've
Yeah.
worked with him in a tag team match. I've had the J-Lit finals of last year in the triple threat, but never one-on-one. And that's another dude that, you know, he helped train me. And, you know, he was such a instrumental aspect in, you know, becoming Eric Taylor and, you know, becoming who I am and, you know, both in the ring, outside the ring, everything. So be able to have a one-on-one with him would be huge too. And I mean, the list can go on, but the fact of the matter is, you know, whoever you give me, I am going to just try to have magic with, wherever I'm at. So
Now, another thing I want you to shine light on is, AIW. People from Cleveland. We love our city. It don't matter where we go, man. Somebody's rocking, a Guardians gear, Cavs gear, Browns gear, wherever. AIW. Everybody on the Independence, if you're a hardcore fan, you know about it. Who is somebody, in your opinion, give me one guy, give me one girl, that you believe should be the next one up? Who do you have your eye on as a fan of the game?
from AIW,
Yep, AIW.
guys, I'm gonna go. Oh man,
Put you on the spot.
dang, this is a loaded question too. Holy shit.
And to be fair, I give you three. We're not gonna narrow it down to one. I give you three.
That makes it a little bit easier. One, I'll go Josh Bishop.
Yep.
Two, I'll go Isaiah Broner.
Okay.
And three, who am I going to give that third spot to? I'm going to go with the wild card on this one.
Okay.
And it was a guy that was in my match this past Saturday. And it was a guy that impressed me very, very much. It is a big, big man in Hardway Holloway. That
Okay.
dude, he's not even been wrestling for a year, and he is just so freaking good already. Obviously, he's still a rookie, right? But I mean, dude, he's just so freaking good, man. He is just very, very talented, and he has such a presence about him. He's just like we said about slowing down earlier. He's just calm and collected, and he's just in there, and he has confidence, and so that's a guy that I'm very much looking forward to seeing what his next year is, because if there's anybody that has like the look and the it's him. So I gotta give him the shout out, even though he hurt me a couple times. If anybody hasn't seen this dive that he did on Saturday, go back and watch the match. It was insane. I literally just looked up at it and my jaw just dropped. I'm just like, it was insane. And then as far as girls, I I mean, the AIW women's division is a little bit on the shorthand right now, so I'm just going to say all three of them. Ziggy, Jocelyn, and Katie Arquette. All three are just fantastic individuals. They're fantastic competitors. I'm probably forgetting some people, but those are the three off rip that I think are just have done so well carrying the women's division for AIW. And I mean, they bleed into, you know, the men's as well, which is the cool thing. And we don't take it easy on them either, man. Like in the ring, you're getting smoke, and they take it, they deal with it, and they do great with it. So, you know, all three of them are just fantastic.
Last thing before we get out of here, I know we did the social medias, but one more time for those who might have missed it, plug in the social medias. Where can people find you? How can people watch the next AIW event?
So we're gonna go to @Future2Bright, exactly like you see it here. How do we point? I'm not gonna point. At FUTR, the number 2 BRITE. That's on Instagram. That's on Twitter. That's also on TikTok. So I try to post as much content anywhere that I can. I try to be funny on Twitter sometimes. Also, sometimes I'm serious, and it depends on the day. It depends on what side of the bed I wake up on. So I love making TikToks. I love making that kind of content. As far as AIW shows, as far as any sort of independent wrestling show, Fight TV is the best app that you could possibly get. It's amazing. It's like, I think it's $4.99 for a membership. I think that they're still doing a free trial. Maybe are they doing a free trial for your first month? Maybe. Not totally sure, but Fight TV is where it's at. Fight Plus. I mean, you get so many different promotions. You get all of this huge bank of AIW shows, and then also IWTV too. I mean, having a place like Independent Wrestling TV is just so instrumental to being able to have access to so many different promotions and different matches and different superstars. You're able to, see, like you said, finding this next generation of talent. It really starts with places like Fight TV and IWTV. So those two places, those two apps, those two websites, definitely go give those a shot. Check it out. Check out AIW. Check out as much independent professional wrestling as you can, because this is the future of the business, and it is bright.
Hey, before I sign out, I'm going to give you one more chance to stake your claim for them belts. Anyone you want, all of them if you want it. Tell the people why they should choose you.
Listen, any title you put me up for, I'm going to win it. And it's my mission to collect as much gold, as much silver, as much bronze, whatever color title yours is, I'm going to win it. All right. It does not matter, because everything that I've been saying for the past 4 years, I wear sunglasses at night because my future is too bright, and cash is king, and Eric Taylor is the star of stars. So if you want the star of stars on your show, hit up the handle and have me there.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of GOW, the Generation Wrestling Podcast. I'm the franchise. His future's too bright because he's Eric Taylor, and we'll see you when we see you.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Oh.